And this is one of the wines that we talked about as is one of the wines you'll see later on. And we kind of went from there. So this was in Barrett Patton Hall, and when we started at Naked, it was still there until we got our own winery, and that's the first place Adam tried it, and you loved it from the start.
Yeah, it's amazing wine.
Yeah, and Rowan, to his discredit, actually always says, "Oh, I hate Sauvignon in barrel. I hate Sauvignon in barrel." And every time he tried this wine, he said, "Oh, that's delicious." So this is Rowan special.
So here's some feedback on the wine. Kathleen had to run downstairs to go grab her SB Rito Flash. She didn't know it was SB. So I guess we should talk about the blend. It's primarily Sauvignon Blanc, but it's not at least 75% Sauvignon Blanc. That's why we did not call it.
The reason we didn't...
it's multi-vintage.
The reason we didn't call it Sauvignon Blanc is because I think, everything's called by variety so often, and I think that's great, and it makes it easy for people to understand and know what to expect. But the antithesis of that is that it makes you expect something.
Yeah.
And I think that tends away from, sometimes it's nice as a winemaker just to make a wine for its own sake and to be its own thing.
Yeah.
If we wrote Sauvignon all over this when people tried it, and I'm even reluctant a bit to talk about it that much, to be honest, because we're going to just program people to do the same thing, is that they have all these expectations of Sauvignon to be this, either grassy, super acidic, New Zealand passion fruit thing, like I used to make when I was in Marlborough, or if it's Napa, then it's something else, or France. I didn't say.
Normally, it's funny, in the UK, there's a wine that when we tried to sell it as Chardonnay, nobody bought it. But then we just changed it to just some proprietary white name, and it sold like crazy. So you're right, people have preconceived notions about wines.
And that's it. It's nice for me as a winemaker. I love this blend. I love the Bordeaux blend. But it's great just to put a white wine in a barrel and make a wine just to be something you want. And like I said, I wanted something that could be with food, or could be standing up, but had enough fruit for those people that like that, but also enough structure and acidity and weight to kind of to match, to go with everything. So
it's a great wine.
So here are a couple of comments. Jeff says, very nice, crisp and smooth. Laura says that she loves how it coats her tongue so smoothly. I love the fruity but not so sweet. And then Chris says he agrees, very crisp. Jeff's getting some grapefruit, banana, and rose.
Yeah, I think they're good comments. I think it's very tropical. Rose, I think you got on the back palate. It's got all those kind of things that Jeff's talking about. And I think between you, those angels have already described exactly what's in this wine. A bit of something for everybody.
And Brennan says, different is better.
I agree. I think it's interesting that the new world really has pushed the envelope for everything being variety labelled. It's only really in France everything's labelled by region. In Italy most things are traditionally labelled by region. Chianti, Merlot. It's not. Germany it's a bit of both, and then obviously Austria's more varietal. But really, it's the new world that's pushed that tendency for things to be called Sauvignon and Gruner or whatever. And like I say, I think it's good to get away from that and for it to be a wine by itself, which is why we call it Special Cuvée. Mm-hmm. In fact, the person that called it Special Cuvée is Vanessa. Because when we were... Vanessa, you can't see her, she's just on That's her laugh.
Come make an appearance with your
This fly's driving me mad.
This fly's been driving me nuts for about 2 days.
So when we were in the old office, we were standing around and I explained the wine to the guys. We were like, what should we call it? Should we call it this? Should we call it this? And Vanessa said we should call it Special Cuvée. So it's Vanessa that called the wine. So cheers.
Cheers.
Any questions on the wine or the style, or just more comments?
I reckon it's great with turkey. We had turkey for Thanksgiving.
That's weird. You had turkey for Thanksgiving.
What are you supposed to have? I'm English, sorry, I don't know.
I was joking.
I had turkey for Christmas. No, you have ham for Christmas.
Ham for Christmas.
So we had turkey. We had turkey breast actually, because it was just a small group of us. And my wife makes her own cranberry sauce with port, but bay leaves, so it's really it's savoury.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like sweet and savoury, and we had this with it, and it worked really, really well because it kind of fits both ways. Yeah. And then roast vegetables with some peppers and some jalapenos, kind of mixed new old peppers, potatoes, sweet potatoes. Yeah, it's good. So good wine for white meats, and everyone loves a bit of white meat.
Yeah, you said it, right, Vanessa? Any questions on the?
Can we remind Christopher? that
Everybody
kind
should
of
say
the best
goodbye as they
thing-
leave. Come and say hi, Julia.
Yeah, everyone needs to chime in. You're gonna meet everyone in the office. This is Julia Fox, who keeps us in check.
Sometimes it's a pretty hard task
Yeah.
a lot of the time. But
Merry Christmas, Julia.
yeah, you too.
Have a nice evening. You off to the gym?
No, I
Tomorrow, maybe, huh?
Have a good night.
What was Jeff saying? Oh,
Chris wanted to know what the blend was. Missed it.
okay, Semillon and Sauvignon Blanc, right?
Yeah, it's mainly Sauvignon with a bit of Semillon and a tiny bit of Chardonnay. But we don't need to worry about that. The question is, do you like it? And you said you did, so it's cool.
I like that attitude.
And then Chris says maybe getting some butter toast on the nose.
The oak.
Yeah.
So it's all in French oak. So this is 100% barrel fermented. It's about 40% new oak from 2 different forests in France. Some of it from the centre of France and some of it from Vosges, which is towards Alsace. And then the other barrels were all French, used 2 or 3 times. So there's quite a lot of oak potentially on this wine, but the fruit, has the weight to make it not overpowering and to sit well in your mouth. And the thing with this one is it's actually coming round. The bottling, it was only bottled about a month ago, and so this wine's going to it'll improve for at least 6 months to a couple of years, depending on how you like it. But why wait?
Drink now.
Drink it at Christmas with turkey. Do you want to do Christmas shopping?
Do I?
Have you?
No.
Really?
No, I buy my plane ticket home to see my parents, and that's enough.
You going to Miami?
Yeah.
Nice.
$700 ticket.
Really?
That's enough of a Christmas gift for me.
It's good.
Yeah.
So my daughter's. I should talk about the label.
Yeah,
talk
absolutely.
about my daughter. So
Robin drew that bear, by the way.
So this is my bear, and the reason I drew the bear was because it represents California, and this is where we've made our home. And the crown is my family. My daughter's called Queenie, so it's an old English name, originally after Queen Victoria. It's what Prince Albert used to call Queen Victoria. And around the turn of the last century, there was a bit of a blip in all those name charts that when you have kids, you look up all the names and decide, whether you're going to call your baby Engelbert or Trip or like Plot Station or GPS or whatever. And so Queenie wasn't on any of those charts, but we went back years and years and eventually found it in 1904's chart. It's a name I know. It's kind of a bit of a jokey name for the Queen as it is at home in England. So, the crown represents my family. The bear's California. And then originally we did have a little moon up here, but
From you, where you met your wife in Bordeaux.
Yeah, we met in Bordeaux in France, and Bordeaux is actually the port of the moon. And it's originally in Bordeaux. It wasn't actually a moon they drew; it was actually a croissant. So it's a crescent, but it became
Not a croissant, but a crescent.
a croissant. Exactly. So the label's just about me, it's personal. And I think
But that was the first label we made here.
Was it?
I remember it was. In fact, when I first put together a label design for Robin, he thought I was so bad. We were going to have to hire somebody else.
And we did, funnily enough.
yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Originally, we did have a moon in the corner, but Adam didn't like that, so we took it off.
I think it came out great. And actually, it was funny. I was at a party yesterday, and I brought this Infidel, and it was a bunch of wine geeks. And everyone said, I love the label. It's so different.
I think it's a popular label. The danger is that people call it critter labels, and so
With animals on it,
yeah. So anything with an animal is like it's like Yellowtail or Little Boomy or
But nobody has a bear.
Penguin Express or whatever it's called.
Bear's original.
Yeah, well, the other thing that's interesting is obviously being English. There's it's a name for a pub. It's quite a popular name for a pub.
Yeah.
So Bear and Crown, Red Lion. So it's got a kind of bit of me in it as well. And I think it works well across the different labels. One of the ones we're going to see next is pink. So
look at that, the pink bear.
The pink bear is awesome. You got to love
Which
that.
is probably a club in San Francisco.
And then before we move on, this one is probably a combination for both of you to answer. Jeff says that in his opinion, the $28 retail is a bit steep, but the angel pricing is good. He loves the wine, but he's just saying.
Well, I think making the wine, it's not a cheap wine to make because of all the barrel aging and how much time, years went into the wine. So obviously for the angels, the benefit is you invested, so you get basically wholesale prices. But why should we let everybody else which is why it's $28. I think this wine would actually, if we weren't Naked Wines, we would sell this for even more. It'd be 40 probably.
And
35.
there are Sauvignon Blancs here in Napa that are $100,
Yeah.
$150.
Honig and yeah.
And that's the thing is, it's like the thing about Naked is that we can bring you a wine that's been made with all those techniques, new French oaks, barrels, handmade.
Grapefruit.
Grapefruit from really good vineyards, and you get it for an awesome price. I think the point about it being more than $28 is very much the case. The other wines I've made in Sonoma and Napa and high-end parts of the Central Coast have all retailed for $40 to just north of $100. And the fruit was no better than the fruit in this wine, and the winemaking was the same.
Pretty much the same, yeah.
And so the thing about being an angel is you get to taste wines that have come from the best vineyards for great prices. I mean, the price this is on the site is crazy.
Yeah.
To me, I still, having spent 10 years making fine wine all over the world, I still find it quite difficult sometimes to actually see the way we price wine, and I still don't understand how it can be such good. And I'm not being flippant at all. It's true. If we talk about the Zinfandel's a single vineyard wine, and everyone else is selling this wine for at least $35, $36 up to whatever, $50, $60. And this is way cheaper. So, and that's about investing and getting those special wines, the angel wines. And these are wines that have been funded by Naked from the start. They weren't wines I was going to make for somebody else that I've just brought to Naked and pretended. These are wines that angels funded to be made from the start. And that's the reward that angels get, and they get the involvement as well. It's great for me to know that somebody else is funding this product, and that I can go and do those things, buy those barrels, find that fruit. Go to couple of the best vineyards in Napa.
Sonoma.
Yes, Sonoma and Sonoma again. This is a really famous vineyard, as is this, and that's great. That's what you get. So it's cheap, Jeff.
He says true, and then he says slaps his face.
No. I think it's good. Supermarket, wines can be cheaper and on sale, but for the way this wine's made, it's very cheap. As it relates to other wines in the same style and same way.
And then Chris wants to know if it can be cellared, or should he drink it now? You said like 3 or 4 years?
I think, it's made to be interesting and complex on release. As I said, it's a mix of different years for that reason, because I'm trying to age it before you get it. I think it's really good now. I think it'll gain complexity and a bit of interest over probably 12 months, 18 months. Pardon me. And then it'll hold for a couple of years. So your window's probably, now to 5 years. Yeah.
And what about food pairings? What would you...
Well, turkey, we heard.
Turkey, and then, forgive me, I've forgotten your name. One of the other angels said they'd had it with cheese.
Oh, yeah, you were saying at the beginning and end with cheese. I think it would be fantastic with spicy food, like Thai foods and even Indian food. I mean, the fruit in it and just the kind of vanilla characteristics, I think it would really be nice to... I
think if you're going to pair it with Indian food and wine pairing is often about the weight of the food. So if you're going to have something like a Rogan Josh, it might be a bit rich for this wine. If you're going to have like a korma or something with like that's more yogurt or almond based, the kind of lighter. That's a good Thai. Point. This is really good with Thai.
That's what I was thinking. Spicy Thai food.
Yeah, there's a Thai I go to in Sonoma, 599 Broadway, on just south of the square in Sonoma. Brilliant Thai, super cheap, really friendly people, and it goes around with basically the whole menu. I normally have Prick King or hot basil.
Stop calling me names.
Sorry, hot basil. And then when I go with James, one of my friends, he has pad thai, and it pretty much suits us all. So I think spicy. It's
I think it'd be great with spicy.
The aromatics make it work a bit like a Riesling or a Gewürz. It kind of balances that way. Turkey, pork. I think any white meats, and then aromatic stuff. It'd be really good.
And fish, obviously.
Lauren from Louisiana says peppered chèvre.
Is that the cheese?
Nice cheese, yeah. No, it's a goat that you put pepper in.
No, I meant is that the cheese that you were talking about?
Louisiana, can we ask her questions? I guess you should watch it, we can. So what else do we eat in Louisiana? What about something like gumbo and that kind of thing? What are the local foods?
Po' boys?
My wife's as California as they come. She's from Hollywood. But she loves the food from the south, and she's always saying we should go down.
I spent a week there, and I just ate through everything. It's amazing food. po' boys and gumbo and
What's po' boy?
it's a sandwich.
It's not po' boy. It's not like a guy with his hand.
P-O, and it's literally a sandwich with like fried stuff inside. So usually you get like a shrimp po' boy, and it's breaded shrimp in a sandwich. So
Nice.
it's amazing.
And then Stephanie says, she
Hey,
would pay
Stephanie.
the wine price tag, but glad that she doesn't have to, and she
Yeah.
flaps her wings.
exactly. That's the whole point.
And
Your glass is empty, just
let's see, one last comment on the special cuvee. Jeff, I think it's another Jeff. His wife thinks it's one of the best naked whites he's.
Oh, thank you very much.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, it was really fun to make. It was really fun to start a project, and sort of, multi-year winemaking is something that really interests me. There's not a lot of people do it in America, whereas there's a few big Spanish houses that hold wine for a long time and make multi vintage blends. And I really think it can bring something to winemaking. Obviously the big example that everybody talks about is sherry, where you've got like a beta solera, and the easiest way to describe it is a pyramid of barrels, and you put the young wine in the top, and it basically trickles down every year. You bottle from the bottom row of barrels, and then you refill those from the next ones up, and sequentially up the pyramid, and each year you put the new wine in the top. And so everything you drink, some of the oldest Soleras in Spain are 100 plus years old. And so there's wine that you're drinking that's still got a fractional part of something that's 100 years old. And so I think, multi-year winemaking is something that really interests me, and I'd like to do more of for Naked, where you can bring that development and the complexity and blend it with the present vintage wine and something fresh, and then bring the Angels a wine that's ready to drink but has got really good complexity they'd normally have to wait 5 or 10 years for.
Well, speaking of Angels,
Stop me if I get a bit
geeky.
Just like,
I will. I'll just hit you.
What's fun? Again.
It's really cool. We just now, like about 15 minutes ago, today we hit 10,000 Angels in the U.S.
Really? I was waiting for that. I've been looking at the site all the time.
So there's 10,000 of you strong in the U.S.
And you're our core group.
And you guys are our core group. So
It's awesome.
kudos to you.
Yeah.
And the other thing about we mentioned the fact that I'm director of winemaking for Naked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another thing I want you to do.
And so what really, we've got a great group of winemakers, Jessica and Matt and Tim and Jacqueline, etc., etc., etc. They're all really good winemakers. But obviously we're making, a lot of wine, and there's a lot of complexity. So my role really as director of winemaking is about logistics and organisation, making sure that we've got a range of wines that you can all find something that you like in it. If everybody could just make exactly what they wanted, we'd probably end up with a skew-with portfolio whereby there was too much Pinot or not enough Chardonnay or etc., etc., etc. Pardon me. So it's just about making sure that we've got a really good product range for you guys, and then organising the cellar, making sure that when they're in the Naked Winery, the Naked Winemaker Studio, forgive me, that it works properly, making sure the team in there is good, and then just being a sounding board.
Yeah.
Winemakers are a collaborative bunch of people, and it's great. Different winemakers have different strengths and weaknesses. So Adam might taste acidity really well, but maybe he's got no palate for bitterness, or
just no palate at all.
no palate at all.
Which is very true.
We've got no taste, so no palate's pretty close. So it's just about being a sounding board for those guys, and so when they come in and make their wine, if they want to talk about things, I can be there with them.
Well, you can. Some of them are younger too. Some of them, it's good mentoring, and
there's a little bit of that with some of the guys.
Some of them have been doing it longer than you, and so it's interesting.
And that's great. When you say that, the person that's kind of comes to mind is Ken Dice.
Ken Dice, yeah.
And Ken Dice is a personal friend of mine. I introduced him to Naked. I've been tasting with Ken for years, 4 or 5 years. Consummate winemaker, was at Flora Springs for a long time, brilliant palate, super nice guy. But when Ken's just finished off his second wine, his third one, his straight Cabernet, 2011 Cabernet, and he was kind enough to ask me to come and taste with him when he finished that off his final blending session. And it's great, to taste with someone like that, and it's his wine, but we both had a little bit of input.
Yeah, collaborative.
And it's that kind of, two heads are better than one thing, and it's the joy of tasting. Winemakers just taste and taste and taste. My wife sometimes berates me for just literally, it doesn't matter what it is. I'll smell it and I'll swirl it and I'll taste it to the point that sometimes it's water. She's going, "That's water," and I'm like, "Oh, sorry," and then you just drink it. But that collaboration and the joy of tasting things is great. I think it's like, to me, it's like cooking. When you see a program on a really good chef, it's like that. When they taste and taste, you see them in the kitchen before they prep, and they're tasting and tasting. Winemaking is the same. To me, you've got to know wine intimately to make it beautiful for somebody else, and you've got to have a mental picture in your head of where that wine's going to be. So it's like if you're going to make a po' boy sandwich, you're going to make it, broadly or whatever, tacos al pastor, or like turkey at Thanksgiving or whatever. Yeah. You've got to know what that should taste like at the end. And winemaking's the same. You should know what things should taste like, and then you should be looking for the path to make that wine go.
That's interesting.
And then Rob, question from Chris: any news on a sparkler?
Chris sounds like me.
Question of the day.
Yeah, sparkling. The thing that's difficult with sparkling is that it takes a long time from harvesting the grapes to actually selling a product. And to make a really good one, it takes at least 2 years, probably 3 years. And that's because the wine it goes through its first fermentation in tank, occasionally in barrel. And then you put that dry wine into the bottle, and you add a bit more sugar and some yeast, and you close it up, and it re-ferments in the bottle, and that's where its 6 pounds of pressure comes from. And that pressure is exactly the same pressure as in a London red bus.
Really?
Yeah, 6 bars.
That's crazy.
And then the interest and the breadiness and the brioche and all the complexity that comes the mushroom with champagne is the yeast that then die when they finish fermenting and line the bottom of the bottle. That then breaks down. It's called autolysis. And that gives all those bready aromatics to the wine. And for that to be really interesting and fun, takes the minimum for champagne, like a White Star or a Roda or something like that, is 2 years. And most of the good producers hold them for longer. And so we've only been here, a year. Yep. So our first harvest has just happened. So if we were to start now, it would still take us
3 years.
A couple of
2 or 3 years. Yeah.
So we have to look at that one. I'm going to be maybe going to the UK to make some wine for Naked, and the UK is really exciting for sparkling wine because it's got the same soil as Champagne. Literally, it's called Kimmeridgian clay, and it comes out of Champagne, goes across the north of France, under the Channel, and back up in the south of England, where I grew up. And there's several champagne houses who've started to invest.
Yeah, I've had some when I went over there.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And it's cool too, so you get the high acid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you've got the same soil, very similar climate, and so maybe we can do something over there.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, it'd be quite exciting. Maybe we could bring some over. But I do, obviously we know there's a bit of demand for sparkling, so we're going to see what we can do. Maybe we can find a winemaker
that has made some.
That's what I'm thinking. One of our classic winemaker kind of characters is somebody who started their own business, having worked for somebody else for a really long time, as you know, and they're a great winemaker, but they're a terrible salesperson. They don't want to talk to people, they don't want to walk the streets, they can't do the numbers, they just don't get it. And so I'm sure there are people in Anderson Valley or Carneros maybe who've made some wine but then can't sell it. So maybe we can find someone like that and see if we can bring you some. It won't be this Christmas, I'm really sorry, but maybe for Thanksgiving next year. It'd be great. So we hear what you're saying.
They're ready and waiting, and Amanda says New Year's 2015 will be coming.
Well, let's try the
rosé.
Let's move on to the rosé, the Pink Bear.
Is that Amanda, one of my archangels?
Yeah.
Amanda.
Hey Amanda, how you doing?
We met her at the launch party.
Everybody met Amanda at the launch party, didn't they, Amanda?
I actually did it. Oddly enough, I was playing.
I'm sorry, I'm not with you. Oh, you played the launch party?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he was playing the music.
He was playing the music. Yeah. So this is.
Tell us how you make this.
So this is. I didn't sort of. This is an interesting project for me. So I'll start by saying I absolutely hate rosé.
It's a great way to start talking about your rosé.
Thanks. I just, for me, rosé often is just a bowl of strawberries, or if it's from the south of France, it's neutrals or onion or garlic. I don't get it. I wanted to make I had an opportunity. Basically, this wine is made from what we call Sangye, which is when really high-end fruit is picked for Pinot or for Cabernet or for Zinfandel. What a lot of winemakers do is when the wine is first destemmed, the stems are taken off the berries. The berries are pumped into the tank. They'll often bleed drained from the tank, maybe 5 to 15% of the juice, because they're trying to concentrate their tank and give it some real flavour and character. And they just throw the juice down the drain, and it's wine. And so this is Sangye mainly of Zinfandel. It's about 99% Zinfandel, but all from single single vineyards in Sonoma, a little bit from Contra Costa, a little bit from where else? Dry Creek, but mainly
So Northern California.
Yeah, NorCal, sorry. And this literally was going to go down the drain, which is crazy. So I bought this and thought, right, I'm going to make a rosé that I don't hate. So that was my launch.
And you had to get your path to get there.
And then my path to get there. So I thought, what do I want this wine to taste like? I thought, okay, I want this wine to be clean on the nose, not over dominant of fruit, but to have some light dried red fruit, maybe some light dried citrus. And then on the palate, I want it to be, if you closed your eyes and you drank it, you could think it was white wine. But alternatively, if you like red wine and you wanted to drink it, then you could think it was a fresh Pinot, maybe a Sancerre, something like that. So I'm trying to make something that's crisp, as tight, dry, and that red wine drinkers or white wine drinkers or even rosé drinkers like. So I think if you taste it, on the nose it's got that dried lemon peel, dried strawberry characteristics, no onion, which is a good thing. Yeah, we don't like onion. And it's also got a touch of white pepper, which is from the neutral old oak barrels. So this was matured in oak, but the barrels were 5 or 6 years old, and it didn't really impart. Once barrels get to that age, they don't impart oak characteristics, toast, caramel, mocha. What they impart is a white spice. So for me on the nose, this is very much a citrus, dry strawberry, and white pepper nose. And again, on the palate, some peach skin, a little bit of apricot, some strawberry certainly, and that white pepper on the finish. But dry, really good with whitefish. Whitefish with trout almondine would be good. Or
Tilapia.
Yeah, tilapia. Oh, do you like tilapia?
I do like tilapia. Most people don't though.
I like. We have a lot of salmon. Whatever. Be good with sole. So it's again good to stand up, walk around. Nice, thanks.
Wouldn't that be good?
Fish and chips and rosé?
Oh man,
I think this would be good with fish and chips because the oiliness of the chips and then the kind of chewiness.
I'd like to try both.
Yeah, can you go and get some?
Yeah, Derek actually makes good fish and chips. Yeah.
Can you make some fish and chips, Derek?
We want a pair of fish and chips.
Oh, that would be good.
He makes triple cooked chips.
Nice. So yeah, so this is taking great fruit from great vineyards that and turning it into a rosé wine that I like. So I'd love to hear what you think about it. It's only just been released. It's slightly unusual. There's very, very little of it. There were only, I think, 14 barrels of this wine, and it's a bit of a personal project for me because, like I say.
So Amanda says that she hates rosé too, but she's actually interested in this one.
But she doesn't say she likes it. Come on, Amanda.
And then let's see.
It'd be good if Amanda's got a picture on a page of her making. It looks like tagliatelle, and I presume that you've made it by your own hands, Amanda. So this would be good with pasta, I reckon.
And then Zoe says it's pretty good, not sweet.
Yeah, it's again, I think when you taste it, the back palate is crisp and clean. For me, if a wine's going to be sweet, I like it to be super aromatic and sweet.
And then Jeff says it's great with 7-Up, and then he says, "Just kidding."
Hey, I know a lot of stories about people who've been out to various other countries where they have red wine and Coca-Cola, and the red wine costs them $4,000 a bottle, and the Coke costs them 50 cents. So
yeah. Vanessa had to go get her charger because her battery's dying on her laptop. So let's see.
Again, the difference between these three wines really is that these are kind of unusual. This one is a multi a multi-vintage project, very high-end winemaking, new oak, all those kind of things, and that's reflected in its price. The rosé, which is super affordable, is still a great wine. It's dry, can be serious, or it can just be fun.
Oh, we have Zoe says she has trial for dinner.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. I'm getting hungry now.
Yeah.
We should get someone to go and get us some food. We can't eat on camera though. It's a poor show.
We did that on the Thanksgiving show.
Really?
We had
Did you have a turkey?
huge turkey.
Nice.
Yeah. It was pretty actually disgusting though, because we were just eating and everyone was kind of upset because they weren't eating. And
Adam walks around the office eating with his mouth open all the time.
oh, all day.
It's terribly
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was raised by wolves.
Something like that.
See if there's any questions while Vanessa drags getting the strawberries on the palate, Chris says.
It's opening up in the glass. That's the other thing is, these wines, again, this has just been bottled for about not even a month. We bottled in the middle of vintage. So vintage was busy, we had fruit coming in, it was crazy, there were all these winemakers running around, and we decided that we should bottle.
Yeah, Amanda said she did make a handmade, her tagliatelle.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry, guys.
And so we bottled this very, very recently. And when you bottle something, you're taking this wine that's very been carefully protected, and you can be very careful in the bottling process, but you're still physically moving this relatively delicate product through all these pipes and filling heads and ramming it in a bottle and closing the top. And it's quite an aggressive process. I mean, you try and mitigate that as much as possible, but wine goes into bottle shock, which is where the film gets its own problem. And so, these wines have changed dramatically since the day we put them into bottle. And this will improve for, this is a drinker. The rosé is not going to keep for years and years, but it'll improve in bottle for about 6 months. But this will be perfect kind of around Christmas.
Well, the way I posted on the winemaker's page, I said you should have this because it'll keep your in-laws quiet. It'll mute them when they come in for Christmas. The in-law mute button.
Nice.
You know how that is, right? Tell Sylvia.
No, unfortunately, and this is a bit of a sad statement.
Oh no, I don't want to hear it. I know where this is going. It's getting
So we won't talk about my wife.
All right, let's leave
Sylvia's
that.
my wife, my beautiful wife.
Yes.
And that's what I talk about on the back of the label. I can put my glasses on and read it. Oh, you've all got bottles. You can read it.
Yeah, you guys could read it. I could read it to you, but
I wrote the back. Gotta love the back too.
and your signature is just fantastic.
Do you like that?
I love your signature.
Took me 3 weeks.
One of my favorites.
All I did for 3 weeks was write the name. I did.
But look how it came out.
Nice, huh? So yeah. So we're going to be drinking this at Christmas.
Yes, I think I am too.
You like it?
First time I had it.
Really? You like it? Good. It's funny working with other winemakers because I think I'm very decisive and opinionated and quick to tell people what I think of their wine and what they should do when they make wine. And that goes for any winemaker I've ever worked with in anywhere, regardless of who knows what about anything. But when I make my own wines, I'm completely opposite. I'm indecisive. I'm doubtful.
You're your own worst critic, right? Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it's true. It's anything creative. I think is like that.
I guess I
Music's like that.
I'm the same with food. I think I'm not like I used to be. I'm more confident now, I guess. But I think when it's your own project, you just want it to be exactly how it should be. And if it's not ultimately right, then I get really young.
But you're the only one that knows that.
Yeah, but I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I really like things to be a certain way. And you kind of end up chasing your tail, and all those kind of things. But it's.
Are you happy with the way this came out?
I am. I think it's great. I'm really pleased. And seeing it in, and this is when it went. It really got shot from the line because I think it had been in old barrels, and it's not. It's not a big red or something that's super robust and can deal with that process. It's relatively delicate, and so it really had bottle shot quite badly. But now it's really bounced back. It's fresh. It's crisp.
It is,
it's interesting. And I like to make wines that you can drink. I like fruit, but I like them to have a savoury edge. And I think while both these wines are fruity, they've both got that slightly savoury edge that means they can go with food. And I love eating almost as much as I love drinking wine. So yeah, I'm super pleased. I think it's a nice fruit profile, and there's been some lovely comments on the website. So thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. And if anybody hasn't told me what they think of this, I'd really appreciate you to tell me. If you like it, what you like about it. If there's things you don't like, that's important too. Because when I make wines for you in the future, whether it's here or in England, I'd really like to make some wines for you guys in Europe. Then I can I can kind of tailor it to what you think, because this is the point. You've got 20 winemakers making wine for you, and they read your comments all the time, every day. They read what you say. I was with Stephen Milliere, one of our winemakers from Calaveras County and Lola, yesterday, and I was up with him. I drove out to the foothills, which is, have you been up there?
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's beautiful.
Oh, it's amazing.
You know the Leaping Frog story?
No.
So apparently it's the Leaping Frogs of Calaveras County.
What are they? Like actually frogs?
Frogs, yeah. So there's, somebody has to tell us why it's called this. So someone listening in, tell us why it's the Leaping Frogs of Calaveras County.
Amanda might know.
Jefe? El Jefe's logged in watching the show.
Oh, Jeff would know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, my wife, when I said I'm going up to Calaveras County, my wife, who's obviously native, said, it's the Leaping Frogs of Calaveras County. There was a children's program on when she was a kid, and she used to see this program. So anyway, I went up there, and it's beautiful. So you go across the Lodi Flats, and then you just hit the hills, and it's like Northern Oregon, or a bit like Upper Hudson Valley or New Zealand. It's stunning. Maybe it's their mining towns. They're quite
Yeah.
They look like
That's
mining
out there. Yeah.
They look like
Absolutely.
mining towns to me. And so I went up and saw Steve Millier, to get back to the point.
In Murphy's, right?
In Murphy's, yeah. And so he works for Ironstone, but then he makes wine for us, and he's won all the awards at Ironstone. They're a big producer, and Stephen makes his own wines kind of in the corner. Brilliant guy, gentle, quiet, really unassuming. Anyway, we were talking, and he was like, I was reading my comments on the website, and people said this and this. And, is that okay? Should I do this? And the point is that his wines are great, but the real point is that the winemakers listen to what you want and really try and reflect that in the winemaking. So the more you can talk about the wines and what you like and you don't, that's great. They love it. So,
absolutely. And how often do they get to hear from the people that actually drink the wine?
and I think, to me, one of the attractions to me about Naked that is groundbreaking and nobody else does is we bring the consumer and the winemaker right next to each other. I don't know anywhere else where the consumer, talks directly.
We're like a dating service for winemakers and customers. Just connect them together. And we're right in between.
And there comes the progeny. So this is my naked progeny, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
And that's great, because it's still the winemaker's wine, and they make wines that they want to make. But they reflect the views of the consumers.
Absolutely.
Jessica Tomei's Sauvignon Blanc, which we've just released and bottled, is a brilliant Sauvignon. It's one of the best Sauvignons I've had from California.
So Jeff says Mark Twain's very first published story was The Celebrated Jumping Frog of California.
There you go,
The
Mark
story
Twain.
was set in Angels Camp. Now we have an annual jumping frog
Sorry.
contest
Applause.
every
Jeff
year.
would know. Yeah. Thanks, El Jefe.
So I went to Angels Camp yesterday.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I was in Angels Camp. I went to a place called Magnolia's for breakfast.
Jeff will probably know that too.
Really? Breakfast was really good. Coffee was a bit.
And you're a coffee connoisseur, aren't you?
Yeah, anything that goes in my mouth, I'm a connoisseur of.
Okay, that's going to leave that one coming alone. And let's. Any more questions on the rosé? Otherwise, we want to move on to the special wine, which I was trying to hide in the Santa box.
Oh yeah, I took it out. I stopped.
Yeah,
it.
you did.
Is this a wine cooler?
It's a gift bag for wine.
Oh, a gift bag.
Yeah, so you can just carry it.
Sorry, I dropped my candy stick.
How cool is that?
So Christopher says that he loves hearing back from winemakers after I review wine. Robin is great about getting back to us.
Good.
Good.
That's good to hear. Because if he's not, Vanessa whips him.
So sometimes you might not see me comment for a while.
So this wine.
Zinfandel. Okay, so this is. Let's get it out and put it. Put it on. There you go.
It's a special wine. The rest of them are special too. But
so, as I said at the start, when I first found Naked, and I was talking to Rowan about making wine for you guys for the Angels. Rowan said that I told him the things I could make and what I got experience in. He said, "Okay, so you should make a Zinfandel because our customers really want a Zinfandel." And I've worked with various Zinfandel producers. Joel Peterson, who's the founder of Ravenswood, we used to make some wine with him. Morgan Peterson, who's his son, who's a brilliant guy, great winemaker. So we used to make some of his wine or help him, make his wine. And so I talked to those guys about where I should, where they liked in Sonoma, because that's where I was based. And I found this vineyard. And this is a vineyard that's up behind Ravenswood's tasting room. So if any of you know Sonoma County and the town of Sonoma, Just to the east of the square on Garricky Road is where Ravenswood original tasting room is, and that tasting room was actually originally the guy Peter Hayward. He owned that tasting room and he sold it to Ravenswood. He actually's got some of his own wine on the site now, which is great, and he's got some of his wine on there because that came through this wine. Because this fruit is from Peter Hayward's vineyard, which is called Le Chamisol. It's a vineyard of about 100 acres, but it's like a bowl. It's an amphitheatre.
It's beautiful. We had lunch there.
We had lunch with some of the angels from the UK. So we brought 16 angels out from the UK to show the guys in England what was happening in America and how exciting it is. And so his vineyard's this little bowl. And so in 11 I went out and talked to him, and it was pretty hard to get fruit. But I had a good introduction from Morgan, and so he said, okay, we'll sell you 8 tons of fruit, and that's all I could get. And so, we had a negotiation about the blocks and the clones and all those kind of technical things. And I ended up with my little 8 tons, and I made this at Patson Hall. So, beautiful site. The other guys that got the fruit from the blocks next to me were Oren Swift for the Prisoner. So he gets Zin from the block next door to this. Morgan Peterson for Bedrock. He gets fruit on the other side of me to this. Saxon Brown. Jeff. I forget his surname. He's not Morgan or Oren, but he's a good winemaker. And then so I got there. So you could see as soon as you see the vineyard, it's a great site. Old vines. Peter Hayward's been there for 20 years. Planted the whole place by himself. And then this was brought in, really good ripeness, just before the rain in 11, so it didn't get rained on. Was all sorted by hand by a big team of people, 6 or 7 people. Cold soaked for about a week. No additions, no acid, no chemicals, no anything else. Wild fermentation, and then fermented kind of medium warm, not hot, not cold, about 86 degrees Fahrenheit. And then cold soaked post fermentation maceration, so just left on its skins to take some more colour and tannin to get a bit more serious for about a week. So this was in tank for about 3 weeks.
So it's pretty much hands off the way you made
minimal
this wine.
Really minimal winemaking when I can. When the fruit's good enough, that's how I like to make wine. I've also got my Petite Syrah, which some of you guys I'm sure have tried. I know you have. Same winemaking, very little intervention, very no additives, old neutral oak. Pardon me. And a Pinot, there's a very limited release Pinot coming out. We've only got
300 cases.
300 cases, and that no additions, very high-end winemaking, punched down by hand every day, and there was the same for this. So this to me is great because it says Sonoma County Zin all over it. Oh, sorry, I'm too busy talking to Paul.
My mouth is watering.
So is mine.
More. Thanks. And the great thing about this is on the nose you get smoky, spicy, beautiful berry fruit, and you get a nice layer of that French tobacco cedar notes, smoky.
That was amazing.
Yeah, and this continues to evolve. Yeah, meat is good, and this continues to evolve in the glass over a couple of hours. If you serve it cold, it takes a bit longer to open up, but it's really it's complex, and there's a lot going on. And then on the palate, it's full of ripe black and red fruit, some spice, some meat, some earthy notes. It's not like if you like really big broad zins, it's got some of that, but it's not a heavy.
It's not a jammy.
It's not a
jammy.
It's
more
not
fruit forward.
Yeah, it's not a jammy, soft Zinfandel. It's got a lot of fruit on the front palate and some weight, but then it's got enough acid on the back. You know, my wife and I, my beautiful wife Sylvia and I, sit down and we drink this with a New York.
I was just gonna say with the strip, like just a delicious strip.
Yeah. We like this with we make fries.
Yeah,
fries and steak, and we like.
I want barbecue right now.
Yeah,
even with this.
Somebody wrote that about. I think was this or the Petite Syrah. They were like, I want to go and grill some meat.
Yeah,
and. Somebody else, we were going to try and hijack someone else, but they ran away.
Yeah,
we can go and pick her up and bring her back.
Yeah.
This one will continue to improve in bottle. This will improve in bottle for at least 5 years. This will hold because of its really good acidity for, you could be drinking this in 10 years as a curious point. I bought quite a lot of this myself.
Me too.
Naked don't give winemakers enough of their own wine. That's one of the problems working for them, because they need to sell it to you to get their money back, because you get such great deals.
Yeah, Chris has been letting his breathe for about 75 minutes. I told everybody to open it up at
Nice.
least an hour
That's
before.
awesome. Good for you.
So he said that when he first opened it, it really smelled like the alcohol, but now that's gone. Fantastic Zinfandel. What a gorgeous color.
Yeah, the color is beautiful.
And
Not a sudden explosion, aka the back door.
really? I haven't tried those wines for a while.
So that's an example of the other style of Zinfandel.
Yeah, I mean, this has got acid, it's not...
But it doesn't punch you in the face.
No, it doesn't punch you in the face. It just kind of goes.
Which is like my grandma.
Nice. I think the berry fruit, this vineyard's all about that really pristine berry fruit. And we've got this wine in the winery at the moment from 2012. We managed to get a little bit more. The way a lot of winemakers work is that wasn't on camera, was it?
Nope.
That's good. The way a lot of vineyards work is that the first time you go and manage to buy fruit from them, they'll send you a little bit of fruit and see if they like you, and you pay them on time, and you're a good guy to be with.
Test the water.
They test the water, yeah, and then if you pass the test, then the next year they'll find you a bit of the better spot in the vineyard, and you kind of move up the rankings. And so I got on pretty well with Peter, and so this year we've got 4 times the volume of fruit, which is great. And from 50% from the best 2 blocks in the vineyard.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's really, it's like this.
And this was a great year, too.
It's a great year. A little bit riper, but still with that really good acidity.
Say hi, Amanda.
Hey, Amanda, come say hi.
Oh, she's not.
She's too scared.
Christopher says that he thinks it's exactly the right amount of punch in the face, great balance between the extremes.
Yeah.
Nice, thanks, Christopher. Appreciate that.
It's an elegant Zinfandel, which is usually something you don't hear with the, it's the California Zinfandels. They're not.
I have to say I was a bit sniffy about Zin before I came and worked a lot in California, because you get so many Zins that are big,
19% alcohol.
Yeah, and this is 15 something, I think, 14.
Which
15.
is low for California Zinfandel.
Yeah, it's true. But I think Zin is really interesting, and Zin is all about where it's grown. If you find a really good Zinfandel vineyard and the yields are low and the wine's got concentration, keeps its acidity, they can be really, really great wines.
Yeah.
Like I say, one of my friends, Morgan Peterson, he's the prince of Zin, because his old dad Joel is the king of Zin.
Ravenswood, yeah.
And when we made those wines at Patson Hall, we saw so many single vineyards from all over Sonoma and Napa and Contra Costa County. I really became
could taste from all these different areas.
Yeah, you get to see Zinfandel in so many different
climates and
climates and variations, and it's a great variety. It's really, really interesting, and I think it's great for California to have something that's really its own.
So do the higher alcohol Zins, are they people just leave them on the vines later and just let the sugars build up? Is that how they get them so jammy?
Yeah, often those are from slightly warmer climates, so from the warmer areas, but it's a stylistic thing.
Yeah,
they're picking. You can pick fruit anywhere from. There can be almost a 30% difference in sugar levels from when you pick red varieties, and so that really reflects in the style of the wine. If you're picking at that really ultra ripe, big, smack in the face end, you've got a lot of sugar, and the wines are big. And the thing is, it's like any fruit. The riper it gets, the less acidity it has. When you taste an apple before it gets ripe, it's too tart to eat. When it's ripe,
it's too sweet and has not enough tart.
It's like any fruit, and so Zinfandel, I think there was a phase where everybody thought it had to be like that.
Yeah.
And it's a great wine. Those wines can be really good, and people love them, and more power to them. Wine's all about what you like.
Yeah.
And the differences. But then you can come back and you can keep some acidity and make it, give it enough acidity to go with that acid and tannin, to go with a strip steak or a barbecue or ribs or whatever, And
ribs.
That's kind of where I come from.
I want some ribs now.
Ribs would be good. We should go for
with
dinner.
This, with Zinfandel, you go to Bounty Hunter and take it over.
You still on a diet?
Yeah, Yeah, but I can eat meat, just no gluten.
Oh, really? Nothing changes for you then?
Yeah.
And then it's definitely very good. My wife liked it from the
Very
first, Yeah, Berry. My wife liked it from the first sip, which is very rare for her.
Who's that?
Well done. The Moro. I'm not too sure.
Well, Merry Christmas to anyone.
And then Chris is going to be comparing with Stevens within the next week, but right now he thinks that yours is going to win.
Interesting. Stevens is good. Stevens is good. Stevens is
different.
It's a double reserve, and that just came out earlier this week too.
Yeah.
Stevens is interesting because Stevens comes from Calaveras, where I was yesterday, and Calaveras is interesting because. Excuse me, I just have to throw a cork at Derek.
No, he's going to do something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, let him go.
Okay.
Jeez.
I won't throw it then next time. So Calaveras has temperatures in the daytime are pretty similar to Napa.
Yep.
But at night, because of the elevation, it's about 2,000 feet, it gets very, very, very cold. And their season is shorter. So they have this kind of short, hot season. And so the wines from Calaveras are quite tannic.
Yeah.
And again, quite warm, have quite a lot of alcohol. And often, the winemakers can't manage, I find, that fruit balance. And so they can tend to be a bit hot and tannic and hollow in the middle. There's not enough fruit in the middle. And we love Stevens wines because he holds that fruit in the middle. He's a good enough winemaker to hold the fruit in the middle of the wine, and he makes a big, robust but structured wine. He's a great winemaker. And a good
That's
guy.
interesting. Actually, out of curiosity, are you guys? We've had so many, I think, amazing wines released this past 2 weeks. So I'm just curious if you guys have been excited with all the wines that have been coming out, and there's even more coming. What are your guys' thoughts on all the new wines and all the new releases? Besides sparkling.
Yeah, and port.
By the way, I did the survey, and so far the winner is the special cuvee for the night.
So we did a poll to see which of the three wines were the favorites of the night, and so far
Special cuvee first, Zinfandel second, and Rosé third.
Cool, interesting.
Zinfandel just by a little margin.
That's great. That's good to hear because it is a really complex white. It's very different.
Yeah, I think that probably reflects what I think would be the price of the fruit. And I mean, for me, these two, I love both these wines.
Yeah.
I mean, I love this too.
Yeah.
But this is is reflected in the price point.
Yeah.
The other thing that Naked does really well is reflect price and quality. Because we price based on what it costs us to make it.
Yeah. Right.
Basically, the wine that's cheaper costs us less to make, so you get it for less money. It's that straightforward.
Yeah. There's no crazy markups.
Yeah, it's not about going through 3-tier distribution and all those kind of craziness things.
So we have a couple of questions actually.
Yeah,
other ones
we're wrapping
rolling.
up.
Why does Zin not get the publicity of Cabernet or Syrah?
For me, I think in this country, it's because Cabernet's king. Napa, everyone says there are two appellations that consumers generally know. The first one is Napa, and the second one is California. And after that, nobody's heard of an appellation. And I think it's very true of grape varieties as well. You ask anybody in the world what America makes well, what California makes well, and it's Cabernet. And it's just because I think you'd have to say that the wine that, it's all about the Paris tasting and the history of...
Exactly, that's what I was going to say.
All the history that California's got for great Cabernet, whether it's deserved or not, I think it's deserved in its own right, but I think there's other varieties of wine in California that are just as good.
I agree. But I think the judgment of Paris is what... it gave credibility to California as a wine region.
Well, I think the other thing is if you look at all the great wine regions in the world, they've been successful because they've managed to get their product to market. Mm-hmm. So there's a big town nearby. Mm-hmm. And Napa works because San Francisco's nearby.
Yeah, that's very true.
All the money's in Napa.
Yeah.
There are great Pinots in California, there are great Chardonnays in California, there are great Zinfandels in California. Cabernet's still king though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cabernet's the one that, if you look at the top end, nothing comes close to Cabernet. I mean, how often do you see it? Even a brilliant Pinot above $100. I mean, very, very few. And I think, to be honest, the ones that aren't that good. But Cabernet, there's a lot of great Cabernet way north of $100,
Yeah.
200, 300. And some of those wines are great. I was drinking some Scream Eagle the other night.
Lucky for you.
Yeah, it's a great wine. To be fair, it was the second one of Screaming Eagle. It wasn't Screaming Eagle.
Okay.
No, it's called Second Flight.
Oh,
It was good. It was
It's like
good.
flying coach.
Yeah, it's Merlot dominant, softer, but very elegant.
Come say hi, Paula.
Come on.
I can say hi from a distance.
Yeah. Cab's king. It's
Yeah.
just the way it is.
Yeah, I agree.
It's what California's hung its hat on.
and they want to know the case production on the wines from the night.
Oh, that's a good question.
I have to remember now. This was super small. This was.
You said 12 barrels, 14 barrels. Or something.
This was 14 barrels.
60
so
cases,
No, it's more than that.
per barrel, I mean.
Yeah, no, there's 20. There's 20.
Now we have to do math.
Yeah, I'm too stupid to think this out. Someone do the maths on. This is 840 gallons. So it's about 400 cases, just under 400
Okay.
cases of this one.
Okay.
This one, there's a little bit more. This one, there's about 600 cases. So 400 of the rosé, 600 of the special cuvée, and the Zinfandel, there was 33 barrels.
33. Okay, so it's it's more than double.
Yeah, more than double.
So it's about 900.
Yeah. So it's like 8 tons of Zin. So 8 times 3, it's 20. Yeah. So
And what was the production on the Merlot? Do you know?
Ooh.
the Merlot was slightly bigger. The Merlot was actually is about 1,250 cases. The Merlot comes from a vineyard called Scribe, which is owned by Jim Bunchu of Gunlock Bunchu.
Yeah.
Jim, been in the industry for a long time, great guy.
Scribe, I've seen that off the road.
Yeah,
Is
it's
there a
on
sign that says
Napa.
Scribe?
Yeah.
Oh, when you're driving to Sonoma.
So when you leave Napa
never
and you
noticed
drive to
that.
Sonoma,
Yeah.
if you guys have done that, you come down, you come past Nicholson Ranch
yeah,
on
yeah,
the right.
yeah. And there's like a wood sign that just says Scribe and it points that way.
Yeah, exactly. So it's in there. No, it's Arrowhead. So
okay,
Arrowhead
okay.
and Scribe are right next to each other. And so I actually made that wine. I'm not sure I can say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I made this wine for Jim in 11. So this was. I found the fruit, and he wanted to sell the fruit, and I was doing the Napa, the Naked project, and so I made some of that fruit for him, and then I bought some for Naked, and made the rest for Naked. So his wine got the kind of basic treatment, and then our wine for Naked, because I saw the fruit was really good. I bought some off him, and kept 1,250 cases, or made 1,250 cases differently, with barrels, with oak, with all the love and attention. And made that for Naked because the fruit sauce is really good, and we've got some of that really good fruit this year as well. For Jacqueline's made some Cabernet Franc from that vineyard. One of our new winemakers, Eric Gordon's made some Malbec. Matt Iaconis, cute boy, nice legs.
Yeah, great legs. He's a marathon runner.
He is he did a marathon in the rain in
Ultra-marathon.
3:20. Really?
Yeah.
He's cute. Adam loves him. He's got some fruit from there too. Some Merlot.
Actually, we did a Thirsty Thursday with him.
Did you?
Yeah. We listened to Kanye.
Yep.
Really?
And Lee, because he gets nervous.
Which album?
The College
College
Dropout.
yeah.
Nice.
Lee says he's going to gift your Zinfandel for Christmas to everybody.
It'd be great at Christmas. Would be good. This would be good with ham and like pork or stuff. I mean, the thing with this is like it's got enough.
So great for
It's got enough kind of
Hanukkah.
like Hanukkah would be great.
Yeah, pork and ham.
Yeah.
And then Erin says the Merlot is one of her favorite wines from us.
Thank you.
And then a couple of people are leaving. Amanda says, "Thanks so much. This was fun. Merry Christmas, Robin. I'll visit soon. I promise."
Yeah, we'll cut off too unless there's
Yeah.
any other final.
Merry
Any
Christmas,
other
Amanda.
questions?
Otherwise,
Special Cuvée and Zinfandel just tied.
oh
Yes,
there we go.
both my wines are equally marvellous. Well, I'd just like to say thank you very, very much, Angels. It's been a great ride. It's just going to go from strength to strength. Some of the wines we've got in the winery this year, a lot of you guys have seen them. You're going to be blown away by the quality. You know, we've got the same vineyards and the same fruit and the same winemaking as a lot of the big guys who are going to be charging other people triple, quadruple for the same wine. Any of you are welcome to come to the winery, taste those wines out of barrel with us. We'll talk you through the process. The other winemakers are around all the time. Come and see why this is really a special thing in America that's really going to change the way wine is made and bought and sold.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, a couple people are leaving. Apparently, there's a meteor shower.
Oh, go watch the meteor shower.
Look east for meteors, according to El Jefe.
Ah, yeah, but he doesn't have light pollution where he is.
And then everybody says a big thank you for Thirsty Thursdays. Merry Christmas.
Thank you guys. Merry Christmas, and we'll see you in the new year,
Yeah.
2013.
Nice, huh?
Yeah.
Cheers.
Unless the world ends.
We should all raise a glass.
Bye, guys.
Merry
Cheers.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Hopefully the Mayans are wrong.
Wasn't that yesterday?
No, 21st.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 12/12 is the end.
Oh my God, it is the end of the world for you guys.
Why? Oh, yeah.